joining us on the program where a topic of national interest gets our attention. And we will begin by bringing you up to date with news and headlines during the week. We're going to be starting with Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Kosi-Duagan, who on Tuesday resumed legislative duties at the National Assembly after a month of suspension, describing Senate President Godswill Akpabio as a dictator. Also, Nigeria's revenue collection surged to 3.64 trillion naira as of September 2025, representing a 411% increase from 711 million naira in May 2023. The Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) announced on Tuesday will also defended continued borrowing of the federal government. The Nigerian naira has been ranked as the 9th weakest currency in Africa, according to Forbes Currency Calculator report for September 2025. The development reflects continued pressure on Nigeria's exchange rate, despite a recent slowdown in inflation. Also, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja has finally been installed as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, receiving the staff of office from Governor Seyi Makinde at the grand coronation held at Mako Hall in Ibadan on Friday. In his acceptance speech, Ladoja thanked Governor Makinde, the Olubadan Council, President Tinubu, fathers and dignitaries at great event. And now to stories that get our attention today. As part of Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary celebration, the federal government held a special Thanksgiving service on Sunday at the National Immunico Center in Abuja to offer prayers and give thanks for the nation. These and many more gets our attention. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to today's episode of Firecrackers. My name is Iriban Salako. But before we begin, let us just go on this break. And that is fixing Nigeria's refineries and the challenges. And when we come back, we will begin with the topic we have for you today. Do stay with us. Glad to have you back if you are just joining us. This is Firecrackers and we're just about to get started. And the topic for today is ahead of Nigeria's 65 years of independence. What are the challenges we are facing out of the successes we've been able to record so far? I have my guest with me here in the studio, Dr. Felix Olorundamilola, a public affairs analyst and security expert. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me today. I'm grateful. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then we also have joining us live from Owerri, Lauman Nzewa, a tax expert. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us at this time. Okay, all right. Now to the topic that we have for today. By Wednesday, Nigeria will be clocking the big 6.5 years.
65 years.
Yes, that's 6 decades, 6.5 decades of existence. Which is definitely this is something big. From 1st October and 1st October 2025. So that we are 65 already. We are already in the eve of the celebration and all that. So if you're looking at Nigeria at 65, let us even start from the good note. How have we done so far? Are you proud of where we are right now? Go to 65. How have we been doing?
Yes. I am not proud of where we are as a citizen of Nigeria because we have done a lot better. Given the potential that we have, the way God has blessed our nation, the natural resources, the human capital, being the largest black continent on the surface, black country on the surface of the earth. So we have much more potential than where we are. We are not so little where we are because those who started as a nation with us, they are far gone ahead of us. So, and then if you compare that to where we are still struggling with a lot of things. Infrastructure, power situation, a lot of issues that we have, political leadership and all of that. So definitely, I don't think anybody will say, even the leaders, political leaders that we have today, looking back, because it's like even a million after independence, we were like doing better than what we are doing today. Yes, I've been around for 60 plus years myself, so I know that we have seen better days than what we are seeing today. So definitely, we are not happy. I am not proud of where we are. But we still have to give glory to God that we still have a nation under one God. So it could have been worse.
But at least we are still doing better compared to some, would we say other
countries? Okay, because now we still have one country under one president. crisis. You know, we survived a civil war. And it's said that no nation survived 2 civil wars. So we survived 1 civil war that took almost 30 months, 2.5 years, and loss of life, and so that we're able to come together as one nation. So I think there's a lot more that we can achieve because we are the most blessed people. You know, everywhere Nigeria goes to, there is that. You know, so coming together as a nation, if we have the right leadership, there's a lot more that we can achieve.
Definitely. And now to Lawman Nzewa, what are your thoughts? Nigeria at 65. If you would give Nigeria an evaluation, what score would you give Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. If you allow me, like the drawn already, I would say that it's not too bad and it's not too good. Nigeria has got some good scores. When you look at in terms of infrastructure, where we are coming from, I remember in the 70s where we will have to, 2 vehicles cannot pass a bridge at the same time. 2 vehicles will never pass. One will have to wait, the other one will have to cross. But today we have had a lot of improvements in terms of road infrastructure. Though those roads might not be having good qualities in terms of durability, we have just had some things. We could say we have something that, and like my colleague there said, that we remain a country, today is still an act of God. That somebody will need to know that this is just because of God. Because by the design of the people who gave us independence, they had no intention to allow Nigeria to survive. They left Nigeria with malice, and they built in failures. They intended to have Nigeria as a failed nation. That's why even up to as we are speaking now, they teleguide our development. They teleguide how much we could progress. They teleguide our politics and our policies. What they gave us, the UK in particular, what they gave us was political independence, but economic dependence. And at the time they were leaving this country in 1960, they left some gatekeepers you call auditors. Because I had people who are saying refineries could not work, this one could not work, in corruption is going too high. And they've never asked why. Who are the gatekeepers? Who are supposed to provide the infrastructure that will control this? They were the auditors. And these auditors, as we speak, have audited all the failed countries, all the failed contracts, all the failed projects, all the failed banks for 60 years, and now 65 years. And we have not audited them into poverty, audited Nigeria into poverty, audited Nigeria into corruption, and our economy is not standing on a very good footing because the gatekeepers failed us. But unfortunately for us, we are looking at politicians. If the real controls are there, politicians will not do much. The politicians in America are not better than politicians in Nigeria. The politicians in UK, where we got independence from, are not better than politicians in Nigeria. The only thing is that the controls, they removed the control that ought to have helped us as a nation, we are removed from us. And as a result of that, while they are benefiting from it, it's not as if they are not benefiting. So they didn't end only malice. All the things we are losing that would have made us a great nation, go to them. The whole monies, you can hear where they are saying that somebody has a house in Florida, this one has a refinery in Malta, this one has this one. These things were monies that left the country, that ought to have been used to provide infrastructure, provide employment, provide all the necessary things that the country wants, all the period. And we never had them. That's why we have mistake, we have corruption, we have poverty, we have backwardness.
That. So, and I'll be coming to Dr. Lauren Damilole now. Yeah. When we look at the problem of Nigeria, like our virtual guests have said, the political, our colonizers did not really design Nigeria as a country to be prosperous. They designed Nigeria to be a country that is supposed to be dependent. But 65 years now. Do we still have to point fingers at the colonial masters, or do we reflect on ourselves and ask ourselves these questions? 65 years of independence, why are we still at where we are currently?
I beg to differ with my colleague on the other side,
okay,
that we can't continue to blame the colonial masters for our backwardness comparatively. Okay, so because it's not the colonial masters who tell our people with leadership, whether they are military, whether they are civilian, to steer the country blind. Okay, are they the one telling them to take all the money that's supposed to be used for development? Are they the one teaching them? So it is in us. It is in us. It is, and I think it will take more than elections, because democracy has not really developed any country in Africa. I've done the research on that before. Tell me, which country has democracy developed in Africa? No. So democracy that they ask us to practice is not synonymous with our culture. You can have, for example, right now we're talking about cost of governance. How can you have almost 50 ministers for what? Even the economic powers in the West, how many ministers do there in Germany, the stronger economy in Europe? How many ministers? Even in the US, the greater economy in the world, how many cabinet ministers do they have, whether Democratic, whether Republican? But we've been loading ourselves. What do we need to do with two national assemblies? Do we need them? What do we need Senate and House of Rep for? We need people who are part-time legislators there. That was what we inherited in 1979. You see, retired principals are the ones who go to National Assembly to make laws, and they are paid according to the civil servant. How much our legislators are they getting now? How much? So they are bleeding the country, the overhead. We can't. Our economy cannot even absorb it. So it's a self-inflicted problem. Let's not blame any colonial masters. Colonial masters will not ask us not to build our roads. I'm thinking of traveling to Ondo State on Wednesday. I'm thinking of the road. The roads are bad from Ibadan to Ore. There's no road. Are the colonial masters coming to build the road for us? So is the money not in the pocket of our leaders, and they are stashed away? Don't you know how much one of our military presidents stole? And after he's dead, how much money has been repatriated? Is it the colonial that are asking to steal all the money when there are industries that can be built, hospitals that are not available, roads that can be fixed? Come on. How can we be blaming colonial masters? It's a self-inflicted. And it will take us to stand up to these people in leadership and say, no. And you know what? Check. All their children are not here. You just saw the one minister who said, all my children are American citizens. All the people that are ruling us, their children are not here. Their children are citizens of Europe and America, Canada. And they have houses there in Dubai, everywhere. Their wives are there, their children are schooling there. How many of them have their children schooling here? So this is a problem that is self-inflicted. All our leaders, when they have headache, where do they go for treatment? Do they stay in Nigeria? They fly out to go and treat themselves. Have you seen any leader from Europe who will come to Africa or anywhere to get treatment? So even when they are on leave, they don't stay here. So how can we now be blaming colonial master for what problem that we are facing? And it will take us to stand up and say no, no more. We want to have good roads. We want to have electricity fixed. Because before, electricity was okay, was stable in Nigeria. We don't know anything about generators. We don't even know anything about second-hand cars. When we were growing up, every car you see driven on our roads, they are brought brand new. What happened to our economy? Okay, our naira was stronger at independence than US dollar or British pounds. Okay, so what happened now? What happened? Where did we get it wrong? It is the money, the leader, people in leadership who do not know what to do with our leadership. They are the people who put us into this problem. So it will take us to say no, no more, because it continues. We have seen the continue, and they were going to transfer this thing to even the generation that are coming. So there's no seriousness on their part to know that if you are in the leadership, you are to serve, not to accumulate all the wealth, not to live in opulences and drive the most expensive cars that even the legislator in other countries that are doing well will not drive. Okay? And we see all of this. We know all of these things. So how do we now blame colonial master for all of that? It's a self-inflicted problem that it will take ourselves to stand up and say no more.
Okay, but would you say that the colonial masters capitalized on the greed of the people that they met here. Because if we are seeing people that they are very easy to manipulate, especially when they tell them that, okay, just do this for us, I can assure you of this much profit. For example, now up to now in Nigeria, we have our mineral resources. Despite the fact that government is trying their best to make sure that all mineral resources is being accounted for, and then the money is going into the coffers of Nigeria, but we still have foreign nationals who are still coming to the country to exploit us, especially when it comes to our mineral resources. They are just taking it there and there's no much account for it. But if we dig deep into it, some investigations have shown that it is still one leader somewhere that is giving these people the leeway. As long as they settle them just for some amount of money, they just give them the leeway to keep taking so much that if they were to calculate the money that they would have been able to derive from our mineral resources, it's way more than the bribe that they are taking from these people. So would you say that perhaps, let's say like the colonial masters too, in a way, they capitalized on the greed of our leaders to really destroy us in the country, if we would put it that way?
Well, I wouldn't say they capitalize on the greed of our greed is synonymous with any human being. That word greed is an English word. So if we are greedy here, they started that greed from their own. So greed, because every word that you have an English word for, know that it originated from them. They are the one that taught us. Okay? So if it's corruption that you are talking, are you saying there's no corruption there? So the thing that I'm saying is this: look at the local refinery that we have in Nigeria. You will see that most of the key people driving that refinery, they are not Nigerians. It's not that we don't have the technical skill, but so even the private sector, in the government sector. Okay, so this thing, like I said, it will take us. Nobody is going to come from anywhere to come and develop our country for us. We have to develop our nation. And everywhere Nigerians are talking about technology, talking about medicine, Nigerians always excel. But the opportunities for them to excel locally, they are not available. So until we start realizing that and make that available, and even the results that we have, and we have people who can technically develop them or acquire the technical skill, or transfer the technology that is in the West and everywhere, and transfer it back to develop those mineral resources to the benefit of our country. If we are going to rely on people who will come and teach us that, or take the resources and refine, look at our ordinary crude oil. We have all refineries. They were working at the time, but now they are no longer working. So at the point, we have to be importing refined petroleum. They will take the crude from Nigeria, go and refine it, and still bring it back. Okay, what happened to all our local refineries? They spent all kinds of money, turnaround maintenance, all billions of dollars, and yet, not the four refineries, none of them was working. So is it colonial masters that did that? Because we have the local people who have the technical school developed, who went to the best school abroad, trained with the white people, and they are even excel above them, and they can run it. But like you said, so until we rediscover ourselves and we give the opportunity to the people who are supposed to be there, and we take corruption away, okay, then we are going to be where we are.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much. Dr. Olorodamiloro has helped us strike out the issue of colonial master when it comes to the problem of Nigeria. And now to Mr. Lawman, let us look at the issue of corruption and how much it is affecting our growth in Nigeria. 65 years of independence, and then despite the fact that, well, as Nigerians, we are very grateful people, we are very happy people, we still have cause to be grateful for some things that we have right now. But let us look at how far would you say corruption has gone in ensuring that we are not where an average Nigerian is envisaging that this country should have been at 65 years of independence. Of the next big thing, if any citizen is supposed to enjoy a country, would say that the economy is one of the things that people would rate, the first thing that people would consider. Are people living fine? Are they able to afford food? And after that, we'll look at security. How secure are the people of Nigeria? So after 65 years of gaining independence, if you would rate our security situation is in Nigeria, what mark would you give us?
Well, I think, government exists. That's the first duty of any government. Security of life and property of citizens. So once there's no security, you can't be talking of economic development because the investors will not come. So I don't think we are bad where we are security-wise, because security is not just about Nigeria. Insecurity is all over. Okay? even in the best countries of the world, with all the, you see how that gentleman in the US was assassinated. You know, even the president, the current president of the United States, you know, escaped assassination during a campaign ground. So insecurity is not something that will totally not be there. Especially when you have any country where you have the economy struggling, you are going to have insecurity. A lot of people will take to crime as a means of survival. Okay? So insecurity is synonymous with poverty. There are people who will want to do anything to survive. You know, and they won't mind the consequences. Okay? There are people who they've gone to jail. When they release them, they come back to the society. They can't go to their families because, you know, our environment here. Oh, they can't go home. They start roaming the street. They will go back to crime. Some of them have been there, out, in, out. Yes. So you always have insecurity in an environment where there's abject poverty. And you know, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of hunger in Nigeria today. And so definitely insecurity is there. But I think to a large extent, the government is standing up to it and there's room for improvement. And so it's not a situation to point to any country where you don't have insecurity. But because when the economy was okay in Nigeria, okay, there was less insecurity. Now that the economy is very difficult, definitely there will be, because it's parallel. Insecurity and poverty, they are parallel lines. They work together. So unless we work hard and make sure we put people to work, people have things to do. There are less idle hands. Because even the Bible is it Christians say an idle hand is the devil's workshop. So somebody that is idle, somebody that cannot, we look for something criminal to do. They won't mind the consequences. After all, if they stay where they are, they will die of hunger. Why not try, you know? So, if you understand it. So now that I think the current government is doing so much about insecurity, and I think we can only wish that they do more, you know, and do more on the economic side too. So that as they are working on the insecurity that we have, they're also working very hard to make sure the economy improves, to make sure that people get work to do, have access to income, to be able to meet their basic needs. We are talking about basic needs. So as long as we're able to do that, the security level will definitely reduce.
Thank you. All right. So now that we've talked about Nigeria, we've talked about the role of government, because you said it's their work to ensure that there's security and then to ensure that the economy is somewhat balanced so that as long as we've taken care of the economic needs, then perhaps insecurity would have gone down. But now let us talk about Nigerians themselves. If we are to reflect on the statement made by late former President Muhammadu Buhari, he said Nigerian youth were lazy. So you just said now that we have idle hands that are not doing anything.
Yes.
They would say necessity is the mother of invention. And if we look at some of the things that some people are trying to coin from a very popular statement from USA, like, let us think of what we can do for Nigeria instead of constantly asking what Nigeria can do for us. So how well would you say that the Nigerian citizens themselves are actually trying to make lemonades out of the lemons that is available?
I think my own, because I'm trying to write a book, okay? And I've done a lot of research. I found that Nigeria were the most resilient people. And we are gifted, we are enterprising. Okay? And that's why that you see that any Nigerian, once they step out of this country, they are able to succeed. Because the environment is just not conducive. Okay? If we have society where those who pass out from our university and higher institution, and they can access, you know, and they have business ideas, and it's easy for them to access seed funding to be able to help themselves and start doing something. That's what government should be doing. That's what they do in other parts of the world. You know, single-digit interest loan that's made available, and you can access it, easily accessible. Not that you are going to go and bring your grandfather's, you know, all kinds of requirements that the bank will ask for here. Okay, but it's accessible, and you can access it, and you can start doing something on your own. So as long as we have that, so I don't believe Nigerian users are lazy. Nigerian users are very resilient, very enterprising, very gifted, have a lot of initiative. You know, but the environment is not just conducive. Okay. So if we make the environment conducive and there are more, medium, small scale, enterprises that agencies that can fund small scale, can help people to start something doing. Because not everybody that be employed by the government agencies or even the private sector. There are people who want to do something who want to engage themselves, who want to become entrepreneur. But is the environment conducive? Is the climate there? So as long as the people in government realize that and they are committed to that, you will see that this economy, because it is the private sector, it's the small scale enterprise that can really employ people. Okay? You can employ 2 people, 3 people here and there and there. Then you will see a multiplier effect of what the economy will do to the economy. But somebody is from the university. Most of these people that are causing insecurity, those who have had encounter with them, they speak good English. Not that they didn't go to school. Okay, they are amazed the way they communicate to them. They know that, and they will tell them, it's good, we don't have anything to do. And if they know that, if they do what they are doing, and they can make millions of naira, why would they want to, why would they want to take that risk? So if that environment is not there, and instead that anybody, before you even leave your school, that's what happened in this Nigeria before. Before you leave your higher institution, employment is waiting for you. We saw it. We know people. In this country, if you are a graduate, once you get a job, government, you are given a Projo 504, brand new. It has happened in this country before. If you are a nurse and you train as a nurse, they'll give you a Volkswagen. And my auntie got one that we know. Just finishing from school of nursing and getting a job, you are given a Volkswagen car. Even when you don't even know how to drive. And you are going to pay, So that was the economy that we have in Nigeria before. So now people come out of school and they are roaming the street, applying to everywhere. There's no job. So that is what the government should be looking at.
Okay, but what about the get-rich-quick syndrome that seems to be taking the whole of Nigeria by mass? Because let's take, for instance, now the reason one person went into kidnapping was because of money, because the person is suffering. But one would think that if the person were truly suffering from hunger, it's something the person would have probably done once and then take hands off it. The proceeds of the crime, the person might use it to start business. But we see that for these people, it's a continuous pattern. They do it once, they get the money, they lavish it, and then they go into it again, and then they go into it again. So it deviates from it being a problem of we are hungry, we don't have anything to eat, but rather it now turns to the get rich quick syndrome because the money is just constantly coming in and in and in like that. And would you say that nowadays too, a lot of people do not necessarily have the patience? Because, if you plant a seed today, it takes a while before it grows into, if you plant a mango seed today, for farmer stages, it will take about 4 or 5 years before you would be having harvest. Then that would fetch you a lot of profit. Or would you say that nowadays, people do not have that patience to wait for 5 years of growth? But people want to plant today and then by next tomorrow, they want to start harvesting. How do we reckon that?
Well, I think you always have that in any society, okay? But the good thing is that those people who are in that, the picture you just painted are definitely they are in the minority, okay? They are not in the majority. A lot of us Nigerians are people who want to do the right thing, okay? But you will always have that group of people who want to just do, even in the best environment, they will not want to follow the right path. They will want to do, but those ones, that's why we have the law. That's why we have the law enforcement. That's why we have the judiciary. Okay? And when they are caught, they are used and can be a deterrent to others. But a majority of us, Nigerians that I know, we are people who want to do the right thing. But we are not seeing that from the leadership that we have. And I can go back to them. They are not leading by example. Because when they get voted to those offices, they display this opulent riches in the face, and that encourages people to want to, okay, if I can be like them, okay, because if they are servants of the people, then they should not be displayed those, some of them have never done anything on their own than being employed by being, elected from one political office to another, and you see them displaying this opulence everywhere in the face of everybody. So some people will want to be like them, and that will get them into trouble definitely. They want to do something that the majority of Nigerians, and as a journalist, the majority of us want to earn our income, want to work hard. It's just that the environment is not available. Once the environment is available, and nobody wants to associate with people when they know that your whatever source of your wealth is questionable, even your family, Nigerians, we stay away from you.
Okay, although that is highly debatable nowadays.
Yes,
that is highly debatable
Yes.
nowadays. But now let's go to Mr. Loveman. Thank you so much for joining us again. So we are still on the topic of Road to 65. That's for Nigeria, the challenges and successes we recorded so far. And before we went offline, we were talking about corruption. Like, if you would rate the issue of corruption in Nigeria, how far would you say it has gone in disturbing our growth at 65? Mr. Loman, can you hear me? Okay, well, it seems the service is not friendly with us today. Quite sad, but hopefully we'll be able to link up with Mr. Loman as the program is going on. And so now back to Nigerians now, because we are trying to focus on how Nigerians themselves could be contributing to what is wrong with the nation. Why at 65 years we are still at where we are right now, and we are not one of those mega countries that probably our forefathers visualized Nigeria to be at 65 years. So if we look at, because at the end of the day, the leader still has to come in from the people.
Yes.
It is still an average person somewhere that will become the leader tomorrow. Probably the person has been accruing experiences for over the years, but it's still an average person. I came across a tweet on social media, and then it really resonated with me. The tweet said that a lot of things that Nigerians are grateful for right now is from proceeds of crime. Like, it is not gotten from clean hands. Probably someone cheated someone somewhere. They got involved in immoral stuffs, and that is what is giving them the wealth that they have nowadays. Since it seems as if to go through the normal channel of getting wealth is difficult, like we have said, because of the economic situation in Nigeria. So if we are to look at the system of it, some parents too, when their children go home and then they bring stuff, they bring questionable things that they know that their source of income cannot afford. You see some parents jubilating. You would even see some churches, some religious organizations who welcome these things. As long as this young person, that you know the type of work the person is doing, I know that for this person to be able to save up to buy a generator, even for someone that is earning 100,000 naira in a month, and then you have other expenses, to buy 2 sets of generator in a year would be very difficult. And this person is buying generator sets, speakers, and everything in church. And then they are seen as heroes. They are worshipped. That, oh yes, aspire to be like this person that is sowing seeds, that is contributing. You see, parents, environment praising this type of people. What does that say about us to citizen of the country that has independence for 65 years, but we've gotten to the stage of glorifying materialism? What does that say about us?
No, but if I understand your question very well, I take the view that Nigerians were good people. You know, that was our slogan at the time. Good people, great nation. I believe we are good people. So you are going to have those set of people that you talk about. But you know that sooner than later, people will begin to understand that these people. I know how people like that is. They will still come and tell you what is even the source of his income. What does he do? And the moment they know that that weight is questionable, even you will be ashamed to parade it. If you are a parent of that child, you will start getting, some, people talking from the bar to say, what kind of job is that boy doing? They will still have people who will question it. That is who we are. Okay, it can be going on for a while, but it will not continue because, and such money goes, is not sustainable. You see that they become even poorer at some stage in time. I don't know whether you have checked some of this I'm talking about, whether you understand it. So, you cannot steal to prosper. You cannot defraud other people to succeed. Okay? It will not go far. So, sooner than later, Nemesis will catch up with them. Because you can't make other people cry and you think you will laugh, you will smile. No, it will not continue. Okay, so even if you do that and you bring it to church and the church is not aware and all of that, even the church are beginning, we have some pastors who want to know, what do you do? This young man, what does he do? What kind of business? What kind of job? And the moment they know that you are doing this, you are defrauding other people. We have had that example before. Some who defraud their employers and use it to, and the employers went to, and the police went to those church and they removed those assets. Or they went to court. So such a thing will always backfire. That's what I'm saying. So the best thing is to work hard. Is to work hard with your hands. Not to defraud other people. And we are not like that. Maybe situations we have an outline, some people are, but not in the majority. Majority of us want to work hard with our hand. Want to do the right thing. That is an average Nigeria. That's what we are.
Yeah, you see, from what you said, one statement really resonated with me. You cannot steal to prosper. No, that is deep. You can't. Yeah, you cannot steal to prosper. And I sincerely hope that a lot of Nigerians too would really key into that. And some people would even make the excuse of, they don't care how their future would be as long as they're enjoying in the now. That is what their priority is. But now that we are heading to 65, we've established that we do not like where we are at. Yeah. We are hoping for a Nigeria that in the future, people from other parts of the world will be coming here because Nigeria has the greatest healthcare system. Nigeria has the best education system. And then as long as you're in Nigeria, all the solution to your problem is you'll be getting all the solution to your problem instantly. So since we are not there now, and that is the Nigeria I am envisaging. I don't know about that people, but that is the Nigeria I'm envisaging.
Yeah,
so how do we get to that point? What are the steps we need to be taking as soon as possible to become one of the countries in the world that will be the envy of the whole world?
We have the potentials. It's in us. And we were there before because there's an account, I want you to fast check it. Okay, that the royal family used to come to UCH Ibadan to be treated. The royal family in Saudi Arabia, they were not going to London, they were not going to the US, they were coming to our UCH in Ibadan. That's where they were treated. So we've been there before. Okay, so it's a matter of going back and doing the right thing, and for us to go back to where we are. You haven't heard of past glory? This country was good before. Our students in the university, we're going back now, we have a NEL fund now. You don't need to, you go to school, to the university, you are going scholarship, you are fed by federal government. Okay, you don't need to pay for the federal universities. Those who, we met a part of it. I met a part when I went to the University of Lagos, I didn't have to pay school fees. It was tuition free. That was what made somebody like me, from my own background, to be able to go to the University of Lagos when I went. Okay? I think we just pay for accommodation 19 naira.
19 naira.
Yes. And I'm talking about in late 80s. I went in late 80s. Okay. So, but those who went before us, then they were even given scholarship. They were fed. Okay. And you take as much food as you want until you are tired. Their hostel is clean for them. The bed sheet is laid for them. And they will tell you on Sunday, there's special chicken and all of that. And so now we're having a lead fund, okay, by this government. So that gonna is the way, I can't go to school because my parents can't sponsor. Now, you just need to apply to NEL fund and your school fees will be sorted. So we can go back. We can get ourselves back. If we have the right leadership, because we have the resources, we have the human capital, we have the natural resources, we have oil, we have other mineral resources that is not available in other. So if we develop it, and we reduce the greed of our leaders, okay, and they don't take all the resources out of this country to take it to other places, to go and build a hotel in Saudi Arabia, go and build a refinery in South Africa, and they do all those, even if they steal the money, they still invest here, so that people can be employed. That's what they do in China, in other countries. That assuming you even steal that money illegally, you took it, don't take it outside. Invest in the same country. You will still have to employ Nigerians to do that job. And you create employment. I'm not saying that is even right. So, but when we have leaders who are selfless, leaders that are for service, leaders who are not just about what they can get, and they are ready to work, they are ready to, I used to say jokingly that any job that you are going to, what hard work can you do with Agbada? Have you questioned our leader? What are they doing with Agbada? They will go and stash those, and be doing like this. The people in the other, governance is a serious business. It's not for all this agbada every time. You have to change your agbada every time. So they are just there to enjoy. They ride the best of cars, escort, full of car, convoy everywhere. And so the roads are not there. So they don't, once they get elected, they don't even drive on the roads. Anywhere they cannot fly to detect helicopter. Have you noticed? This is what our leaders are doing. So until we have leaders who are ready to develop this country, who know that it's not the time for Agbada, it's time to roll up their shirt and work hard and be thinkers and get people who can think, and we can get out of this, because we are already blessed. We are the best weather. And our people are still coming. Every day you will see Asians and all coming to this country. Okay? What are they looking for? What they cannot get in their own country. So if we make that available to our own people, we will develop this country. This country is blessed. This country is a great country. But the greed of our leaders has to be curtailed.
Okay, so what about the patriotism of Nigerians? Because an average Nigerian does not necessarily have great things to say about the country. You say, oh, this country is a bad one. This country is this country is that. This country can't be good. If I have my money, I'm going to flee immediately. So what do we do to also address the issue of patriotism from the citizens?
That patriotism is something that we have to come from our leaders, okay? Because it's actually difficult. You know what? It's not today that you check all our leaders from Nnamdi Azikiwe to Obafemi Awolowo. They all study abroad in the 50s. So going abroad is not just about Africa. It's not about Nigeria. I've also checked that during my research that most of those countries also travel to go and study abroad. Most leaders, most other continents, you know, they will always go and study at Harvard, So, but when you do that study, when you come back and develop your country, because nobody can develop your country for you. Okay? Because in those places that our people have gone to, it's not that it's easy for them there. Okay? They still struggle there. Is here, somebody told me that it's only here that you really can enjoy your money. Even the weather there is not friendly. Okay? So, this year we have good weather and we have everything. And we have the natural resource. But for us, it is how to develop, and nobody will do it for us. So we need to have the right system of government. We need a government that is lean. We don't need a government that is, the overhead is just bleeding our resources. Because now, we now realize that we need a lot of money from tax collection and all of that. So there's a lot of money that we can use to develop this country. So when we have the right people in government, and that patriotism will start from them. Because when people see the way they live their life, when people see the work they do, and you can drive on a good road, and you can go to the hospital and be attended to, and you can have power in your house, and you can have water, and you can have this basic necessity of life. Basic. We are talking of basic. Nigerians, they are not, if you can provide them with basic, they are ready to, do their own part. It's just that when you don't have this basic, people become frustrated. Because you can imagine how much they'll be telling us they're big to the power. There's no power. You have to buy generator. You have to pay high bills. You have to, everything. So by the time our leaders make all this basic necessity of life available for Nigeria, we're not asking for too much from them.
So some people have traced the issue with Nigeria to our constitution, that it's because our constitution is faulty and it gave loopholes for a lot of things that is the reason we are suffering, as the case may be today. Well, if we are to look at some of the steps that has been taken by this present administration, how would you rate the administration so far?
Well, the administration is not doing badly based on where we are coming from. And if they can make constitutional reforms, okay, I don't see like they are trying to do. I don't see why some Abuja has to come and do a road for us in Lagos, Why? So a lot of constitutional reform that is going on. They're talking about state police to address insecurity. Because when you bring someone from Sokoto, to come and police Lagos, people in Lagos will not trust that person with information. And the police and the security agents, they can't work without intelligence. It is when the information that they get. So, but if we have state police, for example, and people that are policing Lagos, they are Lagosians. So everybody can trust with information. But when you now bring somebody from Maiduguri to come and be the DPO in Ikeja, and he does not even speak the language, he does not understand the culture. So these are part of the problem that we have in insecurity. So when you have state police, okay, we have all other things that are needed, to be restructured constitutionally, like they are doing. I hope they are able to get past. And then resources, whatever you can get, you don't have to develop, you don't have to take all the money from Lagos first, take it to Abuja, then distribute it. That there's a percentage. So there's a decentralization of government, okay? That government, local government get their resources. They're able to fix local routes. They're able to fund education, do healthcare. If those ones like we are having right now, if that can be done, so that everything does not have to go to Abuja, and not everybody need to be president in Abuja. Once you are given that post in your local environment, you can develop, and people can hold their leaders accountable at any level of governance. Then we start making progress.
Definitely. I sincerely hope that the process will be sooner than later. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Because sadly, we've run out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for being here with us. And that's Dr. Felix Olorin-Damilola, a public affairs analyst and security expert. Thank you for always honoring our invitation. We truly appreciate it. And many thanks.
I'm grateful.
Many thanks to Loman Nzewa, who joined us live from Owerri, who is a tax expert. Sadly, the network did not let us hear much of his contributions, but anyways, we are still very grateful for him taking his time to join us today. Well, this is where we'll be drawing the curtains today on Firecrackers. My name is Uribami Salako. We thank you so much for staying with us to the end of this program. And remember, you edit here on Firecrackers. You cannot lie your way. You cannot steal your way to succeed. So as Nigeria is approaching 65 years, I hope everyone would reflect, and then we'll ask ourselves the question, what can we do for Nigeria as a country to be great? So till we grace your screen next time, do have a wonderful week ahead. Goodbye.